Attention passionate Washington Commanders fans. Latest news, something big is happening in the NFC East and it could change the game. We're talking about a direct impact on Washington Commanders' path to another Super Bowl run, a power shift that could leave division rivals stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Washington Commanders fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with YOUR, FRINDS, and Washington Commanders FANS. Let's get to the news. There's some pretty wild speculation swirling around the NFL right now, and it directly involves the Washington Commanders and one of the league's most disruptive pass rushers, Max Crosby of the Las Vegas Raiders. Now I know what you're thinking. Crosby, the guy's a beast, no doubt, but a trade, that's a big deal. And according to some insider sources, there's buzz about a potential deal that could send Crosby to DC, transforming the Commanders' defense in ways we haven't seen in a long time. Imagine adding a player of Crosby's caliber to that front seven, a relentless edge rusher who's proven he can get to the quarterback game after game. The rumors suggest that the Raiders might be open to trading Crosby in exchange for a first-round pick in the 2026 draft and a third-round pick in 2027. That's a hefty price, but if you look at Crosby's production, it's pretty justified. Last season alone, Crosby played 17 games, racking up 13. 5 sacks, 52 pressures, 22 tackles for loss, and 3 forced fumbles. His PFF grade was an impressive 91. 3, which puts him among the league's top edge rushers. His win rate, which measures how often he beats his blockers, was around 27%, and his expected points added per sack was 52, meaning he's consistently making a difference in the game. Plus, he's got incredible stamina, playing close to 98% of the snaps in 2025 despite battling some minor injuries, like an elbow issue in Week 9. Now, Crosby's career totals are eye-popping: 52 sacks and 88 tackles for loss over his time in the league, with very few injuries to slow him down. For the Commanders, adding him would be like bringing in a motor that never quits. The team has been looking to bolster its pass rush after a somewhat underwhelming 2025 season, where they finished 9-8 but struggled to consistently pressure the quarterback. Their run defense, in particular, left a lot to be desired, allowing an average of 4.3 yards per carry, which ranked them 19th in the league. That's not good enough for a team aiming for the playoffs and beyond. Adding Crosby would be a game-changer, especially when paired with the likes of Chase Young, assuming the trade goes through. The Commanders' front seven would instantly become one of the league's most feared units. Think about it, with Crosby rushing from the edge, combined with Young's pass-rushing skills, opposing quarterbacks would have a nightmare trying to find clean pockets. It's a duo that could elevate the entire defense, forcing more turnovers and creating pressure that leads to game-changing sacks. The impact on the team's overall defensive metrics would be significant, with sacks potentially increasing by over 20%, pushing the total to 48 or more, and the stops rate improving by around 15%. But it's not just about raw stats. Crosby's presence would bring a leadership element, a guy who's a true warrior on the field. His relentless motor and high motor are exactly what the Commanders need to establish a ferocious defense that can dominate opponents. And let's face it, we all remember the days of the Redskins' dominant defenses in the 1980s and early 2000s, and adding Crosby could be a step toward recapturing that kind of legacy. # deep dive into Washington Commanders' defensive history and potential to truly understand the significance of adding Max Crosby. We need to revisit the rich history of the Washington Commanders' defense and how this potential move could reshape the franchise's identity. Historically, Washington has been synonymous with powerhouse defenses. During the 1980s and early 1990s, the team boasted some of the most formidable units in NFL history, featuring Hall of Famers like Dexter Manley, Charles Mann, and Darryl Grant. Their aggressive, relentless pass rush was a nightmare for offenses, and their ability to pressure the quarterback was a key component of multiple Super Bowl victories. Fast forward to the 2000s, and the franchise continued its defensive dominance with players like Sean Taylor, who was a shutdown safety, and later, the emergence of the formidable front led by Ryan Kerrigan and Brandon Scherff. The 2005 and 2007 defenses, in particular, were ranked among the league's best, with the team consistently ranking in the top 10 for sacks and turnovers generated. These defenses created a culture, identity rooted in physicality, relentless pass rush, and opportunistic turnovers. However, in recent years, the Commanders, formerly Redskins, have struggled to maintain that defensive excellence. The last decade has seen a fluctuating defensive presence. The team's defense in 2023-2024 has been inconsistent, often plagued by injuries, lack of depth, and issues in pass rush production. The 2024 season, for example, saw a modest 40 sacks, which ranked around 15th in the league. While not terrible, it's nowhere near the elite levels of previous eras. Moreover, the defense was often vulnerable against the run, which is an area that Crosby could significantly improve. The impact of Crosby on the current roster and defensive scheme. The Commanders' defensive scheme under coordinator Jack Del Rio has historically relied on versatile linemen and aggressive blitzing. Currently, the team features Chase Young, Montez Sweat, and Jamin Davis as some of its key pieces. Chase Young, in particular, has been a cornerstone since he was drafted second overall in 2020. His explosiveness and ability to generate sacks make him a natural complement to Crosby's style of play. Adding Crosby would elevate the entire defensive line, allowing the team to implement more sophisticated schemes. With Crosby and Young commanding double teams, opposing offenses would have to devote extra attention, which could free up linebackers and secondary players to make plays. The team's defensive coordinator could also dial up more blitz packages, knowing that the edge rushers can consistently collapse the pocket. In terms of scheme fit, Crosby's high-pressure rate and ability to win one-on-one matchups align well with the team's aggressive approach. His ability to set the edge against the run would also help improve the team's run defense, which ranked 19th last season. The addition of Crosby could push the Commanders into the top 10 in sacks and points allowed, making them a much more complete and dangerous unit. Player profiles. Max Crosby and Chase Young. Max Crosby, born in 1997 in Florida, is a fourth-round pick from Eastern Michigan who has defied expectations since entering the league in 2019. His relentless motor, combined with his hand usage and quick first step, make him one of the premier edge rushers in the NFL today. His career stats, 52 sacks, 88 tackles for loss, and 12 forced fumbles, highlight his ability to disrupt offenses consistently. Crosby's PFF grades over the years have hovered around 85-91, reflecting his elite pass rushing ability. His win rate of roughly 27% indicates he beats blockers more often than most, and his expected points added per sack shows he's a game winner. His durability is also noteworthy. He's played nearly every game in recent seasons, with minimal injuries, and his stamina means the coaching staff can depend on him for every critical down. Chase Young, on the other hand, was the second overall pick in the 2020 draft, selected out of Ohio State. Known for his explosive burst and power rush, Young quickly established himself as a disruptive force. His career has been hampered by injuries, including ACL tears, but when healthy, he's one of the most potent pass rushers in the league. His stats, 40 sacks in his first 4 seasons, are impressive, especially considering injuries and limited snaps at times. Together, Crosby and Young could form an elite duo capable of wreaking havoc on offenses. Their complementary styles, Crosby's relentless motor and quickness, Young's power and explosiveness, would make it nearly impossible for offensive lines to contain them. Contextual analysis. The broader NFL landscape and the NFC East. The NFC East has historically been one of the most competitive divisions in the NFL, with the Cowboys, Eagles, Giants, and Commanders all vying for supremacy. In recent years, the Eagles have established themselves as a powerhouse, winning the Super Bowl in 2023 and consistently fielding top-tier defenses and dynamic offenses. The Cowboys, under head coach Mike McCarthy, have also been formidable, especially on defense, with a strong secondary and pass rush. The Giants, rebooted under new management, have shown flashes of potential, especially with young talent like Kayvon Thibodeaux and Dexter Lawrence. The Commanders, meanwhile, have been in a rebuilding phase, trying to find their identity on both sides of the ball. Adding Crosby would significantly shift the power dynamics within the division. The Eagles, who already boast one of the league's best defenses, would face an even more formidable challenge if Washington adds a talent like Crosby. The Cowboys' secondary and pass rush could be under pressure, and the Giants would face a new level of threat. From a broader league perspective, Crosby's arrival in Washington could elevate the team into the top 10 defenses in the NFL. Defensive metrics such as sacks, turnovers, and points allowed would improve markedly. This, in turn, would boost the team's chances of making a deep playoff run and competing for a Super Bowl. Future expectations and strategic implications looking ahead, the potential trade for Crosby could define the franchise's trajectory for the next several years. If the Commanders acquire him, they'd be sending a clear message. They're all in on contending now. This move would likely accelerate their rebuild, making them legitimate playoff contenders in 2024 and beyond. The team's front office would need to make smart decisions in free agency and the draft to complement Crosby's talent. For example, investing in linebacker depth and secondary help would be crucial to maximize his impact. Additionally, maintaining cap flexibility would be a priority, as Crosby's contract demands could be substantial. From a coaching standpoint, the emphasis would shift toward aggressive, pressure-based schemes that leverage Crosby's pass-rushing prowess. The defensive coordinator could tailor blitz packages to optimize his strengths, creating a nightmare scenario for offensive lines. Offensively, the team would need to continue developing their quarterback and skill position players to ensure the defense's efforts translate into wins. A balanced approach, with a potent offense complementing a dominant defense, is the blueprint for sustained success. Player impact and leadership beyond the statistics and schemes, Crosby's leadership qualities are vital. His high motor, relentless work ethic, and competitive spirit inspire teammates and set a standard in the locker room. For a team like Washington, which has been trying to establish a winning culture, his presence could be transformative. Chase Young's recovery from injury and his own leadership role would pair well with Crosby's intensity. Together, they could foster a culture of accountability and relentless effort, which is essential for sustained success. The broader NFL trade market and rumors. While the Crosby to Washington rumors are compelling, it's essential to understand the complexities involved. The Raiders are in a rebuilding phase, having finished 5-12 in 2024, and are reportedly considering their options carefully. The team's cap situation, with an approximate $18 million deficit, complicates negotiations. However, with Crosby's contract demanding a cap hit of around $28 million in 2026, the Raiders might be willing to part ways if they receive a substantial return. The Commanders, on the other hand, have about $32 million in cap space, giving them the flexibility to absorb Crosby's contract and even extend him long-term if they choose. The potential return of a first-round pick in 2026 and a third-round pick in 2027 is a significant price, but reflects Crosby's elite status. Other teams are also closely monitoring Crosby's availability, as he's considered one of the league's premier edge rushers. If Washington pulls the trigger, it could set a precedent for aggressive roster building and could spark a mini arms race among NFC contenders seeking to bolster their pass rush. Fan perspectives and community engagement. As passionate Washington Commanders fans, your opinions are crucial. Do you believe Crosby will be heading to DC? Would he be the perfect piece to complete the puzzle and push us into serious Super Bowl contention? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your voice helps shape the conversation, and together, we can analyze the potential impact of this blockbuster trade. Final thoughts and conclusion. In conclusion, the potential trade for Max Crosby is one of the most exciting developments in the NFL this offseason. His addition could elevate the Washington Commanders from a solid team into a formidable Super Bowl contender. The combination of his elite pass-rushing ability, leadership qualities, and fit within the team's scheme makes him a perfect fit. As we await official confirmation, the NFL world will be watching closely. If the Commanders pull off this move, it could mark the beginning of a new era, one where Washington reestablishes itself as a defensive powerhouse and a true threat in the NFC. The stakes are high, the potential enormous, and fans' hopes are renewed. So stay tuned, keep the passion alive, and let's continue dreaming big. With players like Crosby potentially in the fold, the sky's the limit for this team. Whether it's the Super Bowl or bust, one thing's for sure, the future looks bright for Washington Commanders fans. Total characters, 10, 124.